Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
I'm Josh.
And we're back. We actually are back.
We are back when we said we were going to be back.
That's right. We are back.
But people were like, great.
Yippee. No, I actually got an email yesterday from Utkin. I never know if I say his name correctly, but he's been around forever. And at the bottom of the email, it said, "More no instructions, please."
Uh-huh.
And that was really nice of him. He found a really cool Land Cruiser at a auto show in Chicago, where he lives, and sent me a picture of it because he thought I would like it, and I did. So thank you.
You gonna buy it?
No.
Oh, okay.
God, no.
I thought that was the crescendo of the story.
No.
I also didn't buy a Land Cruiser, so
Oh, that's good.
it's been a great week.
Yeah. You did go away.
I did. My wife and I went away. It was her birthday today, so we're recording on Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day, Bob.
Oh, yeah, you too. I'm not a fan, but whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We are not fans either.
Yeah.
But my wife's birthday is in early February, and I wanted to take her out. And so I found this really old historic hotel in downtown Louisville that's got like secret tunnels and stuff in it. And I wanted to take her there for just like an overnight trip with the two of us. And so we got the kids, set up at like sleepovers and stuff. And so she and I went and had a good time in a big city at this cool hotel that we were very surprised. They just let us meander around in all of these very old, like the ballroom and the oak room where Al Capone would play poker. There's like a secret passageway in there. And there is this, I forgot the name, but it's this like very grand arched, like basement bar where F. Scott Fitzgerald would hang out. And so this hotel is called the Seelbach Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And it is the setting for Daisy and what's-his-name's Buchanan's wedding in The Great Gatsby. So F. Scott Fitzgerald was like inspired to write The Great Gatsby, and so this hotel is like prominently featured in the book.
I've read that book, and I don't remember that.
I don't remember it either.
Huh.
Yeah, but I guess when they got married in the book, they got married in the ballroom that we snuck into, and then I found a gigantic circuit breaker panel and turned on the chandeliers. And so it was just like the two of us, because we were like, where's this ballroom we hear so much about, to the guy at the desk. And that guy he was super cool and was like talking about a bunch of stuff. And we're like, we hear about these tunnels. He's like, yeah, I'm not even allowed to go in tunnels. I was like, well, how do you get in there? He's like, it's in the employee kitchen, and there's a giant sign. It says, danger, don't go in here. And I guess there's a YouTube video where someone tried to go into the tunnels on some kind of Discovery-esque show.
Huh.
But yeah, we just like, he's like, oh, it's on the 10th floor. And we went up there and no one was up there. And then all the doors were locked except for this one. And so we jimmied it, kind of opened a little bit, and then went in there and hung out, danced around. But apparently the ballroom is where the Buchanans got married in the story. I don't know, whatever. They weren't there.
That's surprising, honestly.
I know. I expected to see them.
Yeah.
But in this big, really nice room called the Oak Room. It was like a billiard room, and it's all covered in wood paneling. It looks super cool and regal with like the big round windows, like the big like half semicircle windows that are massive.
Nice.
Beautiful room. And in the corner is like the little poker parlor that's like just a small room. It's like smaller than this room, where Al Capone would be playing poker, and then if the cops came, the concierge would hit a little thing and the doors would close, and then he could escape through this like secret panel thing that I tried to break into and I couldn't get in. But apparently it was like messed up in a fire in the 80s, and so they like boarded up or whatever.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
Sure it was.
But it was another place where like it was dark, and we just kind of went in there and found some lights and turned some lights on, and it was a beautiful old hotel. It was a really cool place. And so we just like snuck around, and no one seemed to care.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's awesome.
Oh, and we got this, I got a suite. It was a really nice suite, and it had like a...
Was it sweet?
It was pretty sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you're in the Louisville area and you want to stay at the Seelbach Hotel, you got to call the sales department, apparently, to book the Seelbach suite. You can't just book it for like regular lessers. You got to call some special person with an office to allow you to give them money for you to stay in a room that no one else is in.
It's just the suite. Or like just the...
There's a couple suites, like I guess presidents or whatever. They have a presidential suite and some named after somebody else's suite. I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah, it was pretty neat. We had a good time.
Excellent. Well, good.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was like real soccer-y. Just soccer. Soccer. But it found a funny thing.
I like funny things.
Well, I mean, I did I don't know, whatever.
You made a funny?
I made it funny.
Okay.
So, our buddy, Garrick, who's a soccer coach, and I knew him when I was growing up. He is a little bit older than me, but he coaches soccer. He plays soccer every once in a while. And I asked him a while back, like, hey, man, if there's ever any pickup soccer games of adults, let me know. It'd be fun to kind of, just jump in and see if, like, I can hang. Like, I'm pretty healthy, and, like, I got some good lungs.
Mm-hmm. You do?
I'll give it a shot.
Exquisite lungs you have.
Thank you. So, he called me and said, hey, and this was actually like last Tuesday. This wasn't even over the weekend. He was like, yeah, there's a pickup game, and it's all coaches and, people from the local travel team that are associated. So it's like coaches and refs and just adults that get together on Tuesday nights, and then I play indoor soccer. I'm like, awesome. And he's older than I am. So if he's saying this, I'm like, they're adults.
Uh-huh.
Cool. So our kids have practice at the same time at the same place. I'm like, cool, man. I'm going to go buy some shin guards. I bought some shin guards.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yep.
Got me some non-running shorts that are not as short as running shorts, and showed up. And I'm just like waiting for somebody I know. I know a lot of people in this area. I'm like waiting for somebody I know to show up to go onto this field. And these people keep showing up, and they keep getting younger and younger. And I don't know any of them. And the oldest person out there had to have been like 30. Maybe.
Yeah.
And the youngest person out there was legally an adult, but that's about it. And so there's like 4 or 5 obvious college students that are just like all over the place and everything. And so I just kind of sat outside. I'm like, oh, I'll just kind of see how it goes. Maybe they're like all clumsy, maybe it'll be fun to watch, and then I can jump in.
I think our listeners are like, that's the first thing that came to mind. Maybe these college kids who didn't go out and have to buy shin guards are just naturally clumsy at soccer.
So turns out they weren't clumsy. And
what?
They were good. I actually think I probably could have hung with them. I don't have the skill that they have, but I mean, like, I could have run around and like done fine and everything. But I just decided to watch, and because I didn't know anybody out there. If I knew one person, it would have been like, "Hey, buddy, can I jump in?"
Yeah.
Or, it was just like,
"Pick me!"
Hi, random people, can I join your team? So,
do you see that dude with the shin guards over there?
Nobody else was wearing shin guards either.
That's what I pictured in my mind.
Because like
no
indoor,
one else had shin guards.
and so I didn't put them on. I just had them with me, and I'm like,
man,
nobody else is
it's
wearing them.
funnier in
like,
my mind.
All right, cool. Anyway, so I watched, and then I talked to a couple other people in that area that we were all joking about, like, oh yeah, we should do like a 40 or over, team or whatever. And then I went over to the guy that owns the place. He's a friend of mine, and I'm like, hey, we should do like a 40 and over thing, because he's almost 40. He's not there yet. And he's like, yeah, actually, we're planning on it. I'm like, what? And then his wife chimed in, and she was like, no, it's 35 and over, so I can play too. I'm like, okay. So apparently, me and several other people are now going to start a 35 and over soccer league indoor, and we're going to just play around a little bit.
So with all of your soccer parenting knowledge that you've acquired over the years, do you know the rules?
I do.
Are you prepared to not be offsides?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
And indoor, there's no offsides.
Oh, it's convenient.
So it's even
Can
better.
you use your hands?
No.
Oh, that'd be cool.
No throw-ins. Indoor is
you
a
just
little
like
bit different.
kick it across the wall and it bounces off the wall?
Yeah.
Dope.
Indoor is fun to watch. It's way faster. They use the wall like crazy. Yeah. So I do know the rules. We have a sponsor
for this podcast.
For this podcast.
We should put it in a jingle.
But I got to talk about our sponsor, because it's crazy that we have a sponsor for this podcast, and it's Goodyear Tire.
Yeah, we were like, hey, maybe we should have a sponsor.
Should we go for like a local mom and pop store? No, we should go for one of the biggest tire manufacturers in the universe.
Yeah. They just invented galvanized rubber. It's not a big deal. They'll totally want to sponsor our little old podcast.
And I'm not even joking. We actually are. This is sponsored by Goodyear. So oddly enough, I am working on a Lego set. It's not a Lego set. It's a building brick set. That is, look at this. If you're watching the video, this is a FJ40 Toyota Land Cruiser. I don't know. They like totally ripped it off, because surely they didn't get permission to put Toyota on bricks, but they do have Toyota on bricks. And this is the same vehicle that I have. And so I got this set a while ago because this is like a knockoff version of this vehicle that is also remote control.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about building a remote control Lego-ish vehicle. But Goodyear is also sponsoring a video on the main channel coming up soon, which is a build for my Land Cruiser. See the synergy? You see how everything mixes together? And big thanks to Goodyear for sponsoring this video. Well, it's also a video.
It is a video, man.
It's a video and a podcast and another video. I'm really excited about the project. And I've been cruising around in the cruiser. Didn't mean to do that, but I did it anyway. On the new Goodyear tires that I put on.
You got the Wrangler Workhorse HT tires. Like, are they working out for you?
Pretty fantastic. Like, the tires that came on it when I got it were, the guy that had it before me wanted to look really cool, and so he put, like, unnecessarily knobby tires on a vehicle that he was driving around town.
Makes it very loud.
It's very loud. The thing's loud enough anyway.
Yeah, it makes it loud on the inside, which is kind of
I don't know if I've said this or not, but driving my Land Cruiser the green one is like driving a box of hammers.
Nice.
That's what it sounds like. And I'm not exaggerating at all. It is so loud. And so the big knobby tires were unnecessary and everything. These tires that we got from them are just like all around highway. You can take them in the grass, you can take them in the rain and sleet and all that type of stuff. They're great tires. Very happy with it. So big thanks to them. This set, by the way, let's talk about this weird Lego set. Non-Lego set. What do you call this?
You're going to get sued. You should say Lego again.
I really dislike knockoff building brick sets.
Yes, as do I. I have gotten a few, and they're almost indistinguishable.
Well, that was my next phrase was going to be, I really dislike them, except they're basically the same.
Yeah, they're not branded. They don't have the name on all the studs. They have a couple pieces that are just weird.
Yeah.
Because they need to make, like, the shapes and stuff for this particular vehicle. And
right.
I forgot, my son built a Wally. It was a remote control Wally. I have the Wally licensed Lego Ideas set, and it's nice, but they have, like, a knockoff one that will drive around, and it was really cool. But there were some pieces I was like, what the heck is this thing?
Yeah.
But it was cool, and it served its purpose.
Right.
It didn't diminish my experience as an avid Lego lover the way, like, Mega Bloks and crap do.
Where they just don't fit together right.
Yeah.
This one has two metal, what do you call that, like a universal joint?
Oh, it is a U-joint. Ooh.
There's two of them in here, and they are some sort of metal. They don't look like metal, they're metal. And they have, like, an interesting, the internal, like, it has the cross shape insert.
So like the Technic insert, but in oh, that's cool.
So I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
I was not displeased with those Chinese sets. You can find them on Amazon. They have a lot of vehicles, a lot of like tanks and military vehicles.
Yeah.
They had the Great Wave, the Japanese Great Wave, as like a stand-up set, and then Lego just came out with the Great Wave as like the dot to where it looks like a painting.
Yeah.
But it's flat, and theirs is not flat. Theirs stands flat and is like a 3D, like fully 3D object. It doesn't have like a flat surface on the back of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is really good.
Yeah, and like when I was looking for this one, I was looking for a specific vehicle. I saw a picture of it, and then I had to go search it up to find it. And they have, excuse me, oh my goodness,
that was fun.
They have lots of specific vehicles. So like, Megan, they have a Jeep Wrangler, and they have like a Camaro, and so you can go look up your car, and if it's not a boring car, they might have it. I don't know.
They did not have
a
Subaru Outback.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
but Lego did come out with a Camaro. It was like a 67 Camaro. It was a nice looking set. Looks like the Mustang, but a Camaro.
I got the Batman, the Batmobile muscle car. It is
the
Camaro-like.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
From Lego or from these people?
No, from Lego.
Okay, because I think these people have one too.
Oh, well, I really like the Lego one. I really like that car. It's from the Batman movie. It's basically a muscle car with like a jet engine on the back of it. It's pretty awesome. Anyway. All right, you have something you want to teach me today.
Okay,
is that the plan?
Yeah. So the episode today, I'm building the castle.
Okay.
I personally have an affinity for had R.I.P. an affinity for the Queen of England.
Oh, okay.
Right. I don't know why. I really like women in power. I find it just very cool and empowering, and I don't know, I like it. And so the Queen of England being like at the top of a lot of different pyramids and her being there for a long time, I've always respected it.
Okay.
When I was handpicked to go to this army unit in Belgium, I'm like, well, I don't want to go to Belgium. I could really care less about going there. I wanted to get out of the army and whatever. And then the people that were trying to get me to go there, because it was a handpicked unit, they sent me a picture of the helicopter, and there was like weird stuff on it, stuff that like normal helicopters don't have. And so there's this engine exhaust in the back, and it had this weird scoop thing on it. I'm like, well, what the heck is that thing? They're like, oh, that's so the auxiliary power unit, the smaller helicopter engine, doesn't burn the grass when we land at Buckingham Palace. And I was like, okie dokie, I guess I'm going now. Wow. And that was like my mom, she was like, you should go. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll go. And they said that I could land at Buckingham Palace. And I'm like, yep, that's what I'm doing.
Wow.
I'm going there now.
Okay.
I didn't get to land at Buckingham Palace.
Oh.
I've got to fly down the River Thames and like circle over Parliament, like amazing things like in London and in the UK. I love the UK because we've got to explore all over, which is part of this story. I'm leading up to the story. It's a long tail lead up.
Okay.
So my wife just recently gave me a book. It was a biography of the Queen, and then I read Prince Harry's book, where it talked about this book called The Spare. It's not bad, but there's a lot of drama, and I don't really care about the drama. But I'm fascinated because it's a thing that we don't necessarily have here in the United States. A lot of the lore and a lot of the tradition that, as an outsider, British and people in Great Britain seem to really enjoy and seem to love. It's part of their culture, like, is a very throwaway concept here in the States.
Right.
Like, I think here as Americans, we're like, yeah, I'll dig that tradition as long as it doesn't get in the way. And if it gets in the way or if it's not practical, then we just don't care anymore. To where they will work around it. Like, they have Guy Fawkes Day is a day that they celebrate a guy trying to blow up Parliament. Like, it's just neat stuff. So, on one of my trips, actually my first trip to London, in a helicopter, we had to fly the Thames River to where we had to land because Heathrow Airport is right there. And so we had to stay underneath Heathrow's airspace. And to do that, we had to fly maybe 250 feet over the Thames River. Ooh. And so I was lower than the top of the London Eye, the big Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And we were like hovering next to it, and I was waving at people in the bubbles on the London Eye in a Black Hawk.
That's awesome.
And so we're like spinning, like hovering around the top of Parliament, and like Big Ben is right there. And I'm not exaggerating how close we were to these things. It was amazing. So we fly down the river to this one bridge that you had to stop, and then we asked if we could go a little further, and they said yes. So we were right by the Tower of London. And so we're like circling around the Tower of London, trying to stay over the river. And we went to the Tower of London, and the yeoman warders, the beef eaters, were like, oh, that was you guys in that helicopter that was up. We're like, yeah, that was us. And they're all veterans. So they gave us like cool special access, and it was great.
Awesome.
So we eventually make our way to Westminster Abbey. I don't know a whole lot about Westminster Abbey, other than that's where I assume all the kings and queens become kings and queens. I assume all of the royal people got married there, even though that's really not the case. But I don't know. I know from the Da Vinci Code that Isaac Newton is buried there. And there, Charles Darwin has a memorial. I don't know if he's actually, whatever. It's a big, really nice church, and a lot of famous stuff goes on there. Yeah. And so we're walking around, and they have their Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is like right in the middle of like the walkway. Have you ever been there?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's this big placard on the floor, and you got to walk around it. And I almost stepped on it, and I'm like, oh, and I walked around it. And when I walked around it, there was this big glass window off to one side. And inside this glass window kind of roomish area was this like old chair, this wooden old chair. And I thought it was like, oh, look, they have a museum, and that's old chair. It's a good looking old chair. We went to the Tower of London. There's old chairs everywhere. There's like, oh, there's a little kid's armor. And okay, I don't know any of this stuff. It just looks like wood old chair. Cool. And so we were like walking out, and then a bunch of people stopped and were reading the placard thing about the old chair. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's like, it's a weird looking chair. It's not a good looking chair.
Yeah.
It's got like crap carved in it, and it's kind of like old and whatever. And it looks empty on the bottom. And I thought it was a toilet. And so I was like, oh, dope. They wanted to show off what a toilet looked like in this fancy wooden chair toilet. And so I started reading it, and I apologize to everyone in Great Britain, but that is King Edward's chair, that all the monarchs get coronated in that chair.
Oh.
To become a king and queen of the United Kingdom, you sit in that chair. It's a big deal. So picture, for those other, the King's Speech. Have you guys seen the King's Speech?
I have not.
Is there a picture of this chair on the internet?
Yes, look up King Edward's chair, the coronation chair, any one of those things. So in the King's Speech, it's about Queen Elizabeth's dad becoming king. And so they're practicing at Westminster, and he has this speech therapist, and the speech therapist is like, lounging, chilling in the coronation chair. And he's like, get out of the chair. That's a big deal. And he was like, who cares? Yeah, there's a picture of it. Okay. Oh, so this is a good picture because it deals with the thing.
I've seen this.
Yeah. So I'm reading all about the chair. Very interesting. But in the movie, he's like, who cares about this chair? It's got like people's names carved in it. So apparently altar boys used to carve their name in the chair. And back in the day, you could pay a certain amount of money and you could like get your picture taken in the chair. So it was a novelty, but now it's not a novelty.
Okay.
And so the picture, if you're watching the video that is on screen right now, the empty part on the bottom that I thought was made for a chamber pot is not made for a chamber pot. It's made for the thing I want to tell you about.
Okay.
And it is called the Stone of Destiny.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
It is freaking cool.
Okay.
So
my interest is piqued.
I'm long tailing the intro, right? So
Okay.
I was in London, and London is great. And so we leave, and then we had a mission to Scotland. So I got to go to Edinburgh and Glasgow, and there's like a submarine base. And so, yeah, there's goofy pieces.
That's a weird piece.
I went to Edinburgh, and I loved Edinburgh. It's very old. We stayed like downtown in the Grass Market, some kind of market. Anyway, so there's Edinburgh Castle, which is up on this big hill. Big, huge fortress-looking castle. And I wanted to go check it out. So I went on a tour and walked all around. And I was reading in the placard at Westminster Abbey about this stone thing, but it wasn't there, and I didn't fully understand it. And so I'm in the line thing. And it was like 2010, maybe. And there's like the Scottish crown jewels, which are different because there's kings of Scotland and kings of England back in the day. And then there's this big rock. It's a cinder block looking rock. Like imagine maybe 2 feet wide, maybe less than a foot tall, maybe a foot deep, and it has these big iron handle things like driven into the side of it, or like carrying handles. But it's just like a big rock. And so when you go to the Tower of London and you see the English crown jewels, it's just like gold and the biggest diamonds ever everywhere. It's opulence. And as an American, I'm like, holy crap, we could pay off the national debt with just that cabinet over there with like the royal punch bowl. You melt that bad boy down and then you know, everybody can go to college for free. So going to Scotland, the crown jewels are not as opulent. And there's fewer of them. And so I thought like, they just got this rock on display. I'm like,
toilets and rocks.
I mean, okay.
What's up with British people?
And so from what I know, and I imagine most Americans, especially ones that grew up in the 90s, what we know of Scotland is from Braveheart.
Yeah.
So Braveheart's going to come into play in this story.
Okay.
So we're gonna go on a journey, and I'm going to use movies to put you in the scenario.
All right.
So I see this stone, and then it was something about a coronation chair, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's the rock from the not toilet chair in Westminster. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And off I went. So I've seen both of these things, completely coincidental on separate occasions.
Okay.
I did not realize the drama, the majesty of those things. And as a dumb American just wanting to see cool swords and stuff, I passed right by it. Okay. And so reading the book about the Queen, it talked about the coronation chair. And I went down a rabbit hole about the whole coronation process because it's a lot of regalia. It's a lot of like opulent traditions and stuff that like make absolutely no sense to me. But then there's the chair. The chair keeps coming up. I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the chair and in the stone. And so talk about a rabbit hole. Like I have tabs and tabs on my phone from like this article led me to this, to this, to this. And I didn't know, but I had already been in the rabbit hole. I came into 2 different entrances of a rabbit hole already, circumstantially. Yeah. And then I took off running.
Okay.
So, the Stone of Destiny. Are you familiar with the Bible?
A little bit.
A little bit, right? I'm gonna give you a specific verse. So, the Stone of Destiny is the rock, like I talked about. It's just a ubiquitous looking rock as an American. That rock is allegedly Jacob's pillow. Jacob, being the son of Isaac, being the son of Abraham. Mm-hmm. God said to Abraham he would bless his multitude, did the same thing to Isaac. Isaac had a son called Jacob. There's Jacob and Esau. Jacob fooled Isaac into getting his birthright. And so later on in the story...
Jacob wrestled the angel and the angel was overcome.
Sure.
Yeah.
In Genesis 28:10, you can look this up, Jacob's mother was like, don't marry these group of women. She hated those group of women. Don't you do that. You need to go get yourself a woman, not them. And so he's like, all right. So he goes off into this other land, and he's looking for a woman. And upon getting into this land, he gets really tired, and he lays down, and he uses a rock as a pillow. I don't know why.
Problem number one.
Right? But as he's sleeping, he has this dream where he sees God, the stairway to heaven, from the song Stairway to Heaven. This is the Bible passage where he sees this stairway to heaven, and God promises to multiply his family and bless them. And so he's like, this is the place where heaven meets earth. And so I'm going to take this rock, this pillow that I had, a very uncomfortable pillow, and he used it to like establish the town of Bethel. So people at church, there's a church group called Bethel. It's a very popular name. I didn't know where it came from. That's where it came from. So the stone is the cornerstone of this town. Legend has it that there is a group of Levites who are the priests in the Hebrew culture, came from the tribe of Levi. They want to leave. They take the stone because they realize it's Jacob's pillow. They take it and they leave. They go to Spain. They hang out in Spain. Eventually, they sail off to Ireland. So when they're in Ireland, they conquer the Celts that are there in Ireland, and they become a more Irish kind of tribe. They still have the stones very precious to them. So then all kings of Ireland are then coronated on this stone because it is a pillar of their faith. And if you are from Ireland or Scotland or England or anywhere over there and you know this story and I'm messing something up, please help me go deeper down this rabbit hole and correct me.
You sound interested enough to get it really right.
It is dope. A lot of Wikipedia searches has prepared me for this day. So anyway, so the stone is in Ireland. They're coronating kings on this stone because it's very precious. The Celts go over to Scotland. They conquer some people in Scotland and they set up their government there. They bring the stone. The stone is there for a very long time. I've got figures on my phone. Let me see here. Not that I'm gonna. It's not that this is gonna be date packed.
Yeah.
But
is it also called the Stone of Scone?
It is called the Stone of Scone, and we'll get to that. Okay. So the Irish come over to Scotland. They conquer it, and they put it in this town, a town or like an area. It was unclear to me whether it's an actual town or just like a region called Scone. Scone. Mm-hmm. So they built like a church or like an abbey around the stone to keep it sacred. So then every time a Scottish king, because England and Scotland are two completely different countries at this time, anytime the Scottish king is then coronated and becomes king, they go to Scone, they get on the Stone of Scone or the Stone of Destiny or Jacob's Pillow, all the same rock, essentially. Very precious to them, so they keep it in this thing. So time goes by. Now we're in the movie Braveheart. Go travel back to 1994, which allows you to travel back to 1290. Okay. So the bad guy in Braveheart, do you remember who it was?
I don't. It's been a very, very long time.
Edward the First. Edward the Longshanks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, who was like having his way with the bride or whatever. Everybody hates him. Terrible guy in the movie. So I assumed that he was just a terrible guy. And for the most part, he is a terrible guy. But in 1290, King of Scotland died, and he didn't have an heir. Which, if you know anything about kings, it's just passed down through usually the male heir. They didn't have an heir. So these two guys, there's Robert the Bruce, who is in the movie, and this other guy. And they're like, we got to figure out who's going to be the king. So kind of like the House of Dragons, if you've seen that movie on HBO. House of Dragons, where at the very beginning of the show, they're trying to figure out who's going to be the new monarch and they like take a vote or whatever. But they can't figure it out. They can't. They're simple people. They can't figure it out. So they're like, well, who do we know around here who's a king? And they're like, well, go on down to England. They got themselves a king. And they're like, why don't we bring him up here, see if he can arbitrate and settle this business for us? And they're like, that's a fantastic idea. So they go down there like, hey, Edward the First, can you come up here? We got this business we can't figure out. And so he gets up there and he listens to both sides.
Did he bring his chair with him?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
All right.
So he's listening to both sides. Robert the Bruce is talking about this. Forgot the other fellow's name, but they're bickering back and forth. And they're like, okay, you're going to make the decision, impartial third party. And so he stands up and he goes, you know what? I'm going to be the king. And you're all going to bow to me. None of you are kings. You guys are garbage. You're going to be part of England, and I'm coming to conquer you. And then they got mad. And then war ensued.
Understandably.
Enter William Wallace, Mel Gibson in the movie. They're fighting Scots for freedom. He gets his guts ripped out, all that business, right? During this war, Edward I knows about the Stone of Scone because it's a big deal. It is like their national symbol of pride because it's this majestic, God-bestowed item. And so he goes to Scone, Edward I, with his army of Englishmen, and they ransack the joint. And they steal the stone. Which, I don't know if you figured this out at this point in the story. Scots are not happy with this.
Yes.
Very angry.
I can imagine.
So the battles keep ensuing. There's a lot of fighting. Edward takes the thing back to Westminster and was like, this stone is mega special, and it's mine now. I keep it now. And it's like, well, what are we going to do? And he's like, I want this woodworker, this real famous woodworker in London. He's like, you're going to build me a chair that houses the stone because all of the kings need to be coronated on this stone because it's, they had that part right. And so make me a chair. So the guy makes the coronation chair. It was like gilded, looked real fancy, and it had this little compartment that if you were driving in your car and you had a mind's eye, if you would imagine a 13th century toilet where you would put a basin underneath it, that's where the rock is. Imagine it's a pillow that you sit on, but it's a rock with a board on top of it, and that's where you actually sit. So he dies, more kings, more queens. Scottish are very upset about this whole thing, but they've taken the rock, and they're like, give us back the stone. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. That's a terrible idea. It's mine now. Because that's what the British people do. They go to Greece and they go to the Acropolis and they're like, that's nice. That's mine now.
Yeah. We have a museum. Let's take all the things.
Yeah.
Put all the things
They're not known for giving antiquities back. Yeah. So time goes by. Have you heard of Henry VIII?
I have.
He had himself many wives, right?
He sure did.
Many wives. He got tired of them and killed them and got another one and killed her and got another one. So there's a mini-series called The Tudors. If you wanted to know what his deal is, you can read or watch that movie. Series of shows. So his daughter, Mary, becomes the queen, and then his daughter, Elizabeth, becomes the queen. She dies without an heir because she was a virgin queen. And so there, again, we got to figure out who's going to be the new king or queen. And they can't figure it out. So there's a guy in Scotland whose name is James. He, through some weird relative intermixing, is actually, on paper, could be the heir. And they're like, okay, I guess that guy's the heir. And by this time, the war had kind of chilled out. They were on probably not agreeable terms, but manageable terms as countries. And so James becomes king of England and Scotland kind of at the same time. So the Scots are still not happy that they got their stone. But as long as a Scot is now sitting on the theoretical throne, because it's not the throne, it's just coronation chair, they're kind of cool with it. They're like, they have it, but now I guess we, air quotes, kind of have it. So they're appeased for a while. Down the line, lots of people. His son, Charles I, people hated him. So England was in upheaval. They had a civil war, and they cut off Charles I's head. And they're like, no more kings. We're done with these kings. All the kingly stuff, you had a crown, like, go America on it and get rid of all of that crap. No more crowns, no more scepters, no more chairs, no more whatever's, like, none of it. But the stone and the chair made it through all that. And it endured. I don't really know how, but it endured.
I mean,
So,
got to sit somewhere.
Sure. Eventually, there's William and Mary. Have you heard those terms before?
I've heard of the college.
The College of William and Mary,
Yes.
right? It's the second oldest college in the United States. It's in Williamsburg, Virginia. It is named after King William and Queen Mary, who were the first and only, I think, monarchs to rule concurrently. Not just a king with his queen consort, like his wife, who's the queen. They were together. They were equal. Co-managers.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
So they brought out the coronation chair, and then they had to make a fake coronation chair, a facsimile for her, but she didn't get to sit on a fake stone. So he got the stone, she didn't get the stone.
Oh.
Patriarchy, am I right?
Yeah, for real.
Right. So they die. Their daughter Anne, who is Queen Anne, like Queen Anne's, I don't know, these names are just like around. I don't know who any of these people are, but the name is around there. Let me see. She dies. And so the line of like kind of Scottish rulers stops with her. And the Scots don't like this business. They're like, we kind of had a foothold in the monarchy and now we're not gonna. And so then they come up with this agreement, a formal agreement. And they're like, how about England and Scotland be one United Kingdom?
What?
So
Wait
they're
a
now
second.
the United Kingdom. And now they're United Kingdom. There you go. So the Stone of Destiny stays at Westminster for this time. Yeah, where the chair and stuff is on display and people can take pictures and stuff with it, and like it's just the stone is in there.
Yeah.
It's a tourist thing now because they haven't had a coronation in a minute. We're gonna fast forward long time, hundreds of years, long time to 1914. Now we're gonna put your picture. We've left Braveheart, we've left the Tudors, we've left the College of William and Mary, and now we're going to Mary Poppins.
Oh, awesome.
Put yourself in Mary Poppins now.
Okay.
Okay? Flying a kite. She's got her umbrella.
Shim Shim Cherie.
Right. The mom in Mary Poppins. What was the mom in Mary Poppins? What was her deal? She was fighting for...
Oh, yeah.
Say it again? Suffrage, right?
Yeah.
Votes for women! She had the whole song, Votes for Women. What do you picture when you picture suffragettes? Because we had the same thing in the United States. In my mind, it's black and white pictures of women in big hats with signs walking down the street. Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. In England, they are blowing people up.
Okay, Enola Holmes. Have you watched Enola Holmes?
No.
Yes.
Watch both Enola Holmes movies. It's all about
Same
that.
thing?
Yep. Yep.
I was
blowing stuff up.
I was blown away. So they are labeled like a terrorist group of these women who just want to vote. And so they are going crazy, putting bombs in like well-known places.
Yeah.
So the coronation chair is just sitting there as this tourist thing, this high-vis, highly prized, majestic, God-imbued piece of culture. And so these suffragettes put a bomb under the chair. Blows up.
What?
Blows up. Bomb explodes. Blows up a chunk of the chair, the coronation chair, right? With the daggone stone of destiny, Jacob's pillow, allegedly. Doesn't explode into like an American like explosion, but it blows up. It knocks like the seat and a leg, blows completely off, stones on the ground.
Wow.
Women eventually get the right to vote. I don't know if that was the tipping point, but I'm pretty sure like
They're gonna kill all our chairs.
they got to the rock. And so they rebuild the chair. They send it back to another woodsmith. They put another leg back on it. They put the rock back in there. Scotland at the time is like, you guys are blowing up the rock. Give us the rock back because you obviously can't take care of this thing. You're letting the ladies blow it up. And they're like, no, it's mine, kinda. I'm keeping it. You can't have it back.
Kinda.
Right. So there's bickering going on. We're going down the line to 1950. Now we're in The Crown. You watched The Crown on Netflix?
I haven't.
Okay.
I've heard it's very good though.
Yeah. King's Speech. We'll go back a little farther. King's Speech. So it's about Queen Elizabeth's dad becoming king. He has a stutter. He hires this doctor, and so he's trying to get his confidence up so he could give the most like epic "we are going to war" speech to bring the country together. It's this whole thing. He eventually gets sick with lung cancer, and he dies at the age of like 50-something. Queen Elizabeth, who was 20-something at the time, we're almost there. It's almost her coronation. So in 1950, these four chaps from Scotland, these college kids, remember how dumb you were when you were college age?
Oh yeah.
Remember some silly things you decided to do when you were college age?
Yeah, right.
Silly things that didn't have consequence?
Yep.
Okay, what if the four of us, stupid, silly college age, rather than like, let's shoot tampons out of an air cannon against the side of the building or, dumb stuff. What if we were like, let's band together and steal the Stone of Destiny from Westminster Abbey?
Best prank ever.
Right?
Yeah.
And this guy was like, absolutely, I will. And so him and his homies,
You wouldn't.
they get in a car, and it's a long drive from Scotland down to London. So like they had a lot of time to think this through. It wasn't just like on a whim. So they travel down there, and they're dead set. We're stealing this super huge heavy rock. It's not like a set of car keys that you can just like walk out with, like the Thomas Crown affair where he's like steals a painting. Nothing on this rock. So they go into Westminster. It's dark. They break into the joint. They smash up the chair that was already fixed because the suffragettes blew it up. They break up the chair. They get the rock. And they're so happy that they finally have the Stone of
Did they have to destroy the chair to get
It's
the rock
like,
out?
if you see the pictures that Anthony had, it's kind of like the chair is built around it.
Okay, gotcha.
It's in like a bottom kind of compartment. It's very visible, but it would be very awkward, I imagine, to get it out of the thing. So if you put like a pillow in a bread box, you can see the pillow, but like you got to finagle it out.
Right.
So they break the chair. They get the stone. and they're super happy because they're like, we've done it. They pick the stone up by the carrying handles. They got these 2 big iron handles I mentioned earlier. The stone breaks in half. Broke the stone in half because of the suffragette bomb.
Oh.
And they dropped it, broke the stone in 2.
I can imagine before that when they were putting the chair back together, they were just like, I don't know, put both halves of the rock in there and it'll look like it's still one piece.
No way. They're taking it with them. And so they take these 2 halves of the stone and they beat feet out of there. And so eventually security guards figured out what happened. The coronation chair, the symbol of the British or the kingdom's monarchy, is broke up again. And the stone is gone. And so they lock down the whole of London. They lock down most of the country. There's cops at all on the roads and all the checkpoints. They want this stone back.
Wow.
That they stole in the first place.
Yeah.
They're quite adamant about getting their stolen property back. So these college kids somehow get past this blockade and make their way back to Scotland. Super secret. So they go to this stonesmith and they're like, would you mind fixing this random rock that, I just found? I kind of need you to put this
like my favorite
rock back together. And when I was reading this, I imagine a stonesmith is good at subtractive manufacturing. I didn't think of binding the rock back together.
Yeah.
How you would do that. But
glue
puts the rock back together. Then there's another little ooh, he didn't put it back together. He made a fake one. So it could be that the guy kept the real Stone of Scone and gave him a fake one.
Oh.
But so they take the Stone of Scone, the newly repaired. I will, for sake of this conversation, assume that is the real one because there's speculation.
Yeah.
They take the Stone of Scone, they put it back into this abbey where Robert the Bruce was coronated. This very ceremonious, we're gonna thumb our nose at them. It's not just in the government building. This is a place, Scottish place.
Yeah. Okay.
Scotland. If we stole something from someone and we put it on Mount Rushmore, that kind of symbolism. And so the English are those turds took the stone, and they put it back where they found it.
Yeah, where it came from.
And so to save face, they kind of just ignored it. They didn't really march up with the forces to try to have a bunch of infighting to get a thing back. The PR would have been absolutely terrible. So they kind of forget about it. That's in 1950. 1950 something else within that decade. King dies. Queen Elizabeth has to be queen. She's got to be coronated. You can't coronate the queen without the stone. You can't do that. You can't have one without the other. She would be awash as a queen. She would have screwed everything up. So the parliament is can we please have the stone back? Because she's got to be coronated. And we get it.
Can I interrupt really quickly? This is carbon fiber.
The drive shaft, it looks like a Technic piece, is carbon fiber?
It says it's carbon fiber.
Wow.
And when you look at it, it is very different. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. This is a good place. I got to catch my breath. I'm getting excited again.
Okay.
So they ask the Scottish government politely, which is also the... Ooh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's metal. I wonder if people can hear that.
I heard it.
So-
no, I dropped a piece.
They asked them politely to get the Stone of Destiny back because the coronation would have been crap without it.
Yeah.
And so they went, you can have the stone back for the coronation, but you're going to give it back. And they're like, absolutely.
Sure
We're going to give it back. We're totally going to do that. Because you can trust us. Because we're trustworthy.
Because of our accents.
Yeah. Because we've been through this war together. We're now a brotherhood. We're a united kingdom. We're totally not going to do anything dastardly like keep it for ourselves. She gets coronated. Whole thing. First televised coronation in the history of ever. Some millions of people see her get coronated on the coronation chair, which had been repaired after these hooligans broke it, and put the stone back in it where it, some say rightfully belonged. She gets coronated. Whole thing goes great. And they're like, oh, that was wonderful, fellas. Give it back now. And they're like, well, it's nicer here, though. We made this chair. I don't know if you guys know, but we made a special holder for it. And there's lots of people who come here to look at stuff, and they probably want to look at stuff here and not look at stuff up there because the lighting is different, I assume. I don't know. They said no. They're not giving the stone back. So Scotland gets mega mad again.
Wow.
Yeah. So then there's lots of votes in the 20th century where Scotland is just generally irritated with lots of stuff that happens. North and South kind of division like we have here in the States, but imagine culturally flipped, where like the snooty people are in the South and the more like agriculture, like tougher kind of like, people are in the North. It's flipped as it here is in the States. So Scotland has a couple votes to like just completely leave the United Kingdom because they're just over all this crap. And to calm stuff down, the conservative British government to try to like make all that stop, because there's lots of stuff of value in Scotland for the kingdom, lots of stuff, and so they don't want to lose it. So they're like, you know what, to appease these people, let's give them back the stone, but we're going to make this like a political kind of charade thing. So imagine that like a political party that you don't like, the people you vehemently don't like, are like, you know what, I'm going to go to your house and I'm going to give you a present. It's going to be a great present and you're going to love me. And then you're going to be on my team because I gave you a present. They give the stone back. This big fanfare. They build a special truck with like a bulletproof glass enclosure thingy over it, like the Pope Mobile, but for this stone. Drives all through Scotland. They get up there, guy who's in charge in Scotland, and Prince Andrew, who is not a great guy now, ceremoniously like, we give this back to you. We're going to mend the ties. And they said, no, we still hate you, but now we have our stone back. And so they kept the stone. And in like 2008 or 2009, they put it in Edinburgh Castle because it's one of the most highly trafficked, like touristy kind of places where people go to see stuff when you go to Scotland. They're like, if anybody's going to see it, they're going to see it there. Next year, random old me walking through there was like, check out that rock. I don't know why they got a rock here. Whatever. On I go. Didn't even know anything about the Stone of Destiny. So now, Queen Elizabeth has passed. Her son Charles is going to be coronated in May. So in, what month is it? February? May? Like 3 months. They're going to give the stone back for the coronation. It's been arranged. They asked nicely. And I don't know if fingers are crossed or nothing, but they asked nicely again. He's going to be coronated. Can we borrow the stone? Please. And they said, okay, fine. But you're going to give it back.
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, man, we'll give it back.
Why wouldn't we? I don't know why you think
so. In May, if it is your deal, it's going to be all the rage. When you see the coronation, there's this crappy looking, what Josh thought was a toilet wooden chair with a rock in the bottom. You will now know the significance that biblical Jacob apparently took a nap on that stone, saw the stairway to heaven. It went all over the world, got blown up by angry women, got stolen by drunk college kids, became a piece of political tug of war.
Yeah.
Just so kings and queens could be coronated on it.
Wow.
And so after the coronation, in like an even deeper level of like put it back where it came from, they're not going to house it at Edinburgh Castle anymore. They built this like visitor center in Scone. So the stone after coronation is going back to Scone.
They hope.
Theoretically, they're dropping some money to build this thing, and so it would be like the biggest. They don't do middle fingers in England, like the 2-finger thing to them to not give the stone back. But they have a history of that. So if you're watching the thing, watch The Rock, and you're like, I don't get this as an American. I don't get all of this crap. There's a scepter and a thing and a mink like capes and stuff. Why are they sitting on this old chair? That's why. And there's a lot of drama, and it took a lot for them to sit on that chair, to not have the stone, to have the stone, to then lose the stone, to blow up the stone, to break the stone. And so it's going to go eventually, theoretically, going to go back to Scone. Not back to Bethel. Yeah. Apparently, those people are not as angry as the Scots are to finally get it back where it actually came from.
Well, but theoretically, it left Bethel with inhabitants of Bethel as they
Sure,
left,
they
it wasn't
took
stolen.
it with them. Yeah, it wasn't forcefully removed. Sure. So now, primarily American listeners, you know the drama surrounding the Stone of Destiny, the Stone of Scone, Jacob's Pillow. I know. And if you go there, if you go to Scotland, or if you go to Westminster Abbey, which is very popular, and you see the coronation chair, and there's a little rectangular nook in the bottom that might be empty, might not be empty. They've been known to lie before, but no.
Well, I'm looking forward to Indiana Jones 6, Indiana Jones and the Stone of Destiny, where he just He just gets tasked with moving a rock from one place to another.
India's teaching at the University of Glasgow. And I was like, you know what? They got this rock in this chair. I was going to go get it, but I'm really tired. You guys should go get
The
it.
Nazis want this rock.
Oh, there's another part I forgot. Oh, I totally forgot that part about the Nazis.
There's Nazis?
Nazis show up in every story.
Oh, my goodness.
So, before the Queen is coronated, during World War II, the Stone of Scone, and members of the royal family, but primarily the Stone of Scone was like a trophy that Hitler wanted.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Give me that stone so that if I am like coronated or crowned or bestowed or whatever on this stone, it gives like an air of legitimacy to Hitler being the ruler of all Europe.
Right.
So as the Blitz is happening, like Germans are just bombing the crap out of London. It's hitting Buckingham Palace. It's hitting everywhere. They take the stone out of the chair and they ship the chair off to some place in Weston Lancashire, and it stays there. But they're like, the stone is too heavy. We don't know where to put it. And so they put it in the basement with a bunch of other random rocks they found.
Oh, gosh.
And they hid it in plain sight behind like a tomb of some random dead person to totally like hide the rock in plain sight. And so it just stayed there for a while. And one or two they wrote a letter. They wrote the British government wrote a letter to like the Prime Minister of Canada and somewhere else, and was like, if it hits the fan, open the letter, and it's gonna tell you where the thing is. So he has this like potential treasure map. Like, don't open it if it's okay, because we only want like a few people in the entire wide world to know where the chair and the stone are. But now you know it was like in the back with some other random rocks that they found. And so if that would have happened and they couldn't find it, the Prime Minister of Canada theoretically would have been like sifting through the rubble. Imagine how you would try to find that. The rubble of a stone church hidden amongst random rocks. It would have been lost forever. But it did have big handles on it, which would have been a dead giveaway.
That's true.
Which made me think, if I was working there, I'd be like, we got to hot glue some random handles on some random rocks, you guys. We got to throw them on. Give me some paper mache.
Why do they have a whole room of rocks with handles on them?
Put some googly eyes on all of them. They'll never know. I forgot about the Nazis. They came into this too.
Oh, man.
The Stone of Destiny is so crazy. Such a cool name.
Yeah.
There's not a single movie. It is a labyrinth of movies to trace its placement in history, its significance in history, and it's wacky.
That is wacky. And I mean, honestly, it's like as a historical drama and like a, I don't know, spy story, but like a suspenseful like uncovering of this and then that and then that. Like, you should write a script for that and pitch it to Netflix as like a multi-century long series that follows this rock through all of the adventures that were around. That'd be awesome.
It would absolutely need to happen. And then like Nick Cage runs past it. And like National Treasure 2, it just doesn't understand that.
He like sits down on it with while
he's,
he's like
like,
reading
thinking,
the
"Man,
Constitution. You know?
This chair is so uncomfortable.
I feel like taking a nap.
Put my name in it. So, if you want to track along with to recap, need to read your Bible. So, Genesis 28:10 to know where it came from, its original significance.
Yeah.
Watch Braveheart. So, Edward the Longshanks, so you can hate him a little bit more now that you know he's stealing culturally significant mystical artifacts, besides killing Mel Gibson at the end. So, watch that, right? And then watch The Tudors. And then Mary Poppins, to note that her Votes for Women song took on a whole different air after I learned all this.
Yeah.
Because she's like, we should vote. It'd be nice if we could vote. Let's put on a sash, ladies. And then other girls are like, yeah, but like, how about we make some bombs and kill a bunch of people? And I imagine her in the back. We're like,
Or we could just put on the sash.
we got this song idea. Well, how about we try that one first, and then maybe think about bombs? And they're like, no dice. Blowing it up. And then Indiana Jones apparently is going to convince the college kids to go steal a stone.
Oh, it was him.
Totally worked. Such a captivating story. And I felt weird after reading all this as an American going like, oh, look at that nice toilet and look at that fancy rock. Like, I felt bad.
Yeah, but I mean, you would.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, thank you
I
for
wanted,
that.
I wanted to teach you guys about the Stone of
That is
Destiny.
fantastic.
That was a roller coaster.
I do honestly think that you should write a screenplay about that. As a series that would just follow the stone, not people, follow the stone through history. That'd be pretty great, man.
Make it animated?
No, it's got to be live action. It's got to be live action. Too much intrigue.
There's got to be a guy with hot glue. a stonesmith. Like, I swear, I wanted to call up. I got so crazy into this. I wanted to somehow contact a stonesmith. Because we know a lot of people in the maker community. I don't know if we know any stonesmiths. But what would be the process of adhering two halves of a pillow-sized rock back together? I don't know.
And that was what, in the 50s?
In the 50s. 1950.
Oh, man.
I don't know if, like, rock repair technology has improved since then. They use lasers now? Like, I don't know.
Huh.
But even then, there's still this allure that, like, oh, that rock that you're seeing is the fake rock.
Yeah.
The stone guy has the rock. And so they interviewed, or they tried to, like, research the stone guy's family. And the stone guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So they don't really know where.
I repair rocks for teenagers all the time. I don't know which one you mean.
You gotta be more specific. The Rosetta Stone, I had a heck of a time putting that bad boy back together.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
Thank
King
you for
Charles's
sharing that.
coronation,
That's
look
great.
out for the Stone of Destiny and the coronation chair,
Yeah.
and know the drama that came along with it.
Wow. Wow.
How much time have I been ranting about rock?
60 minutes.
Perfect.
Wow. Okay.
It's like I practiced that.
Yeah. It's almost like you had a plan there, but cool. Well, thank you for teaching me about that.
You are welcome.
I am going to have a hard time coming up with something that exciting that I can teach you.
I shot for them. Actually, I did not even go out for this.
It was already interesting.
It was
to you.
like, what? Hold on.
Yeah.
What? Where? That thing? Hold on. And then it was like clicking a hyperlink to going, what? And clicking another, hold on. And the whole time, it was just one silly flabbergasting event after the next.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, man, I guess everybody's probably going to have questions about that. And you can absolutely direct them
Yes.
at Josh.
If you are a Scot, or not someone named Scott, if you lived in Scotland,
Or if your name's Scott.
I mean, whatever. Like, if there's something that I'm missing that either makes this more intriguing or is like, no, you dumb bloke, you got it all wrong, like, tell me. Because I really want to know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can diminish this story. I think it would only add more flavor to it.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, let him know. And, if you learn some new stuff, pass it along. We'd like to hear about it. It'd be fun. We're going to wrap it up, I guess, because I don't know where to go from that. Big thanks to our Patreon supporters, and big thanks to Goodyear as well for sponsoring this and upcoming stuff for us. If you're listening, let us know what you think about Josh being that excited about a rock and a toilet chair. And let us know, if you want more
the name of the
stories
show.
about that.
Rock and the toilet
Rock and a
chair.
toilet chair. Let us know what you think about this, because we can try to come up with interesting things to teach each other. And if you want to join the Maker Alliance, get all the, stuff we do. They get discounts and they get Discord access. Excuse me. Tonight, we're doing our first hangout with new Maker Alliance members only. So I'm going to hang out with new members.
Yep.
You're going to hang out with
all of everybody else.
Everybody
the
else.
legacy members.
So we're doing that. We're switching back and forth. So we're doing more hangouts now. If you want to, check that out, see what all is offered, go to makeralliance.com.
TheMakerAlliance.com?
I don't know.
I think it's
The Maker Alliance.
I like to
Go
make stuff.com/join or themakeralliance.com. Those
put
will get
links.
you where you need to go.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
That
Thank
was
you,
fun.
everybody, for listening. And catch you next time.
Bye-bye.